Lizzabitty is here. Let's have a good conversation. Real good. I don't think I've done one of these videos before. Continental Africans who live in the diaspora and those blacks who are in the diaspora but want to come home have got to get on page 1. Page 1 meaning unity, being unified. The oppressor wants us to continue to bicker and not unify. Have you ever noticed how you have a lot of other ethnic groups, racial classes of people who, no matter what's going on, let's say even in their personal lives, they still get on board for a common goal? That's something that we seem to lack. I happened to catch Renee Marcus's video that was 5 hours and some change long, talking about the land and citizenship issues in the Gambia. I've been to the Gambia myself. What I'm going to say is this, because I recognize that a lot of continental Africans who live in the diaspora don't understand the plight for those of us who have not come from whence you come. So there's certain things that are very important and dear to us. Let me talk about those just for a moment. In the West, it doesn't matter if it is in the United States, Europe, or the UK. Land ownership is a money grab and can aid you in building what we call generational wealth. We as blacks in the diaspora, specifically I'm going to talk about the United States, have long since been locked out of generational wealth building at the hands of the United States government. Albeit from all of our Black Wall Streets being eviscerated because they didn't like us building and being collective with one another, because at one time we were. But we've allowed integration to remove that from our beings. We'll talk about that later. Or be it systemic policies and systems, protocols put in place, mind you, with the strong arm of the government to be against us, be it fair housing, insurance in all facets for business, personal, etc., to banking, getting loans, access to capital. So when we decide that we want to move onto the continent, some of us, yes, we view land as very important. Why? One, because we have been priced out of the market in the States. We never fully own anything in the States. Everything is centered around debt, which is why we have the inflation rate that we currently have. So when you have diasporans come to these countries, and the first thing they want to talk about or they're looking into is actually procuring land, that is why. Because you all don't understand from whence we come. I'm unsure if you're willing to know about from whence we come. Some of you are listeners, but I think you have to be more poignant in terms of listening to the crisis from which we've come. We're continuously being persecuted. Just because there are things that you don't see that's being played out on the propaganda machine in the media, it doesn't mean it's not happening. If you check on my community tab, I did a post about what is basically causing more racism outside of poor people being killed outside of the police. Is it HR policies, schools, medical, or all of the above. It's all of those. It's all of those. And those constructs and those systems have allowed us to continuously be looked down upon and not be able to build generational wealth for ourselves. Sure, you have one-offs here and there. You have these guys who are in athletics. You have these movie stars. That is not the totality of who we are. Some of us are highly educated and have decent career fields where we should have long garnered generational wealth. But due to gentrification and all these other things, them constructing expressways right through black neighborhoods that were prosperous in terms of business so that they could not have patrons anymore due to all the ongoing construction, these are designed by the systems in place, albeit the government. So I want you just to take that part and understand the land issue. Now, I'm not telling anyone on the continent to just start giving out your land free willy-nilly. No, there should be systems in place, but there should also be the Negro laws like they have in Sierra Leone, where if you look like me, you can own the land, not others. They would have to partner with someone. We would be more inept and more eager to join. Now, when it comes to automatic citizenship, I don't believe that that is right. Personally, these are my personal tenets. Because a person needs to show their worth. Now, do I agree with 15 years here and 10 years there and all of that? My answer to that is going to be no. Now, recognize that this is something political that would have to go through channels for voting to get these things changed. But that is not going to deter me, because I would have to wait that long in certain countries, or in other countries I probably wouldn't get it unless I married someone. That is not going to deter Lizzabitty from saying, I'm keeping my eye on my end game, my finality. Okay? And so what I want to say to you is this. Understand how we come. A lot of us do come onto the continent with baggage. If you go back to some of my old videos, they don't have a lot of views. But I have said, you need to get yourself together before you come onto the continent, and don't bring all of these Western ills that plague us currently onto the continent. Why? Because continental Africans do not need that mess. So I'm harsh on everyone. Everyone. Because we all have to toe the line. What I also found disheartening was the European guy who was allowed to come onto the panel and speak so egregious about a black woman. See, whether I agree with you or not, what I will not allow is a 25-20 to come over and talk about, one, a black man, let alone a black woman. I'm a black woman. My father's a black man. And I wasn't raised to keep my mouth shut when they do things like that, become disrespectful. That was wrong. That was wrong. That wasn't right. I also have videos talking about assimilation in these spaces that you go. It is such a negative view for you to inhabit these countries on Mama Alkebulan and you don't try to learn about the culture of the local people, and all you want to do is to be in an expat enclave, you could have stayed at home for that. Understand your why and your purpose for actually leaving Babylon and seeking out Eden. We as a people have got to do better. It is so, it gives me such joy inside to see you all being so eager to want to come onto the continent, because as you know, I'm a very well-traveled person. That gives me such joy inside. But I also get angst inside when I see some of the diasporans, as well as the continental Africans who live in the diaspora, doing things to the detriment. We have enough of that happening at the hands of people who don't look like us. But we should also not give legs up to people who are not our own, i.e., people from these other countries. You know who I'm talking about. It is time that we respect one another, have a decent dialogue about issues that plague us. And remember, I have long said to you, everything is not for public consumption. Trust me. I got a lot of stuff in here that I have to filter out, even when I come on here and do videos. And so a lot of time my language even is different, because I'm trying not to say things that I know I should not put for public consumption. You have to be mindful of your audience and what you are putting out, because there's other eyes outside of Lizzabitty's eyes. Content and understanding each other and all of that, I get it. I get it. Just in general, us people, blacks, Africans, the real Africans, okay? We have got to do a lot to foster and nurture better relationships and network. A lot of things that are going on have to do with business, us stealing from one another, us not understanding each other's culture. And that happens no matter where you go. But we should do better, because we should. We're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to love one another. And so, as I wind this video down, I didn't want to make it too long. I just wanted to say that. Remember, everything is not for public consumption. Remember that. Meet me at home.